Chapter 11. The Dufflepuds Made Happy. Lucy followed the great lion out into the passage. At once she saw coming towards them an old man, barefoot, dressed in a red robe. His white hair was crowned with a chaplet of oak leaves. His beard fell to his girdle, and he supported himself with a curiously carved staff. When he saw Aslan, he bowed low and said, "Welcome, sir, to the least of your houses. Do you grow weary, Corsican, of ruling such foolish subjects as I have given you here?" "No," said the magician. "They're very stupid, but there is no real harm in them. I begin to grow rather fond of the creatures. Sometimes, perhaps, I am a little impatient, waiting for the day when they can be governed by wisdom instead of this rough magic." "All in good time, Corsican," said Aslan. "Yes, all in good time, sir," was the answer. "Do you intend to show yourself to them?" "Nay," said the lion with a little half-growl that meant, Lucy thought, the same as a laugh. "I should frighten them out of their senses. Many stars will grow old and come to take their rest in the islands before your people are ripe for that. And today, before sunset, I must visit Trumpkin the dwarf, where he sits in the castle of Cair Paravel, counting the days till his master Caspian comes home. I will tell him all your story, Lucy. Do not look so sad. We shall soon meet again." "Please, Aslan," said Lucy, what do you call soon?" "I call all time soon," said Aslan, and instantly he was vanished away, and Lucy was alone with the magician. "Gone," he said, "and you and I quite crestfallen. It's always like that. You can't keep him. It's not as if he were a tame lion. And how do you enjoy my book?" "Parts of it very much indeed," said Lucy. Did you know I was there all the time?" "Well, of course I knew when I let the duffers make themselves invisible that you would be coming along presently to take the spell off. I wasn't quite sure of the exact day, and I wasn't especially on the watch this morning. You see, they have made me invisible too, and being invisible always makes me so sleepy. Hi-ho! There I'm yawning again. Are you hungry?" "Well, perhaps I am a little," said Lucy. "I've no idea what the time is." "Come," said the magician. "All times may soon be soon to Aslan, but my home, all hungry times are 1 o'clock." He led her a little way down the passage and opened a door. Passing in, Lucy found herself in a pleasant room full of sunlight and flowers. The table was bare when they entered, but it was of course a magic table, and at a word from the old man, the tablecloth, silver, plates, glasses, and food appeared. "I hope that is what you would like," he said. "I have tried to give you food more like the food of your own land than perhaps you have had lately." "It's lovely," said Lucy, and so it was. An omelette, piping hot, cold lamb and green peas, a strawberry ice, lemon squash to drink with the meal, and a cup of chocolate to follow. But the magician himself drank only wine and ate only bread. There was nothing alarming about him, and Lucy and he were soon chattering away like old friends. "When will the spell work?" asked Lucy. "Will the duffers be visible again at once?" "Oh, yes, they're visible now, but they're probably all asleep still. They always take a rest in the middle of the day." "And now that they're visible, are you going to let them off being ugly? Will you make them as they were before?" "Well, that's a rather delicate question," said the magician. "You see, it's only they who think they were so nice to look at before. They say they've been uglified, but that isn't what I called it. Many people may say the change was for the better." "Are they awfully conceited?" "They are, or at least the chief duffer is, and he's taught all the rest to be. They always believe every word he says." "We've noticed that," said Lucy. "Yes, we'd better get on without him, in a way." We'd get on better without him, in a way. Of course, I could turn him into something else, or even put a spell on him which would make them not believe a word he said. But I don't like to do that. It's better for them to admire him than to admire nobody." "Don't they admire you?" asked Lucy. "Oh, no, not me," said the magician. "They wouldn't admire me." What was it you uglified them for? I mean, what they call uglified." "Well, they wouldn't do what they were told. Their work is to mind the garden and raise food, not for me, as they imagine, but for themselves. They wouldn't do it at all if I didn't make them. And of course, for a garden you want water. There is a beautiful spring about a half a mile up the hill, and from that spring there flows a stream which comes right past the garden. All I asked them to do was to take their water from the stream instead of trudging up to the spring with their buckets 2 or 3 times a day and tiring themselves out, besides half spilling all of it on the way, half of it on the way back. But they wouldn't see it, and in the end they refused point blank. Are they as stupid as all that? Asked Lucy. The magician sighed. You wouldn't believe the troubles I've had with them. A few months ago they were all for washing up the plates and knives before dinner. They said it saved them time afterwards. I've caught them planting boiled potatoes to save cooking them when they were dug up. One day the cat got into the dairy, and 20 of them were work at moving all the milk out. No one thought of moving the cat. But I see you finished. Let's go and look for the duffers now that they can be looked at. They went into another room, which was full of polished instruments hard to understand, such as astrolabes, orreries, chronoscopes, poisometers, chronobuses, and theodolins. And here, when they had come to the window, the magician said, There are your duffers. I don't see anybody, said Lucy. What are those mushroom things? The things she pointed at were dotted all over the level grass. They were certainly very like mushrooms, but far too big. The stalks were about 3 feet high, and the umbrellas about the same length from edge to edge. When she looked very carefully, she noticed, too, that the stalks joined the umbrellas not in the middle, but at one side, which gave it an unbalanced look to them. And there was a sort of little bundle lying on the grass at the foot of each stalk. In fact, the longer she gazed at them, the less like mushrooms they appeared. The umbrella part was not really round as she had thought at first. It was longer than it was broad, and it widened at one end. There were a great many of them, 50 or more. The clock struck 3. Instantly, a most extraordinary thing happened. Each of the mushrooms suddenly turned upside down. The little bundles which had lain at the bottom of the stalks were heads and bodies, and the stalks themselves were legs. Not 2 legs like each body. But not 2 legs to each body. Each body had a single thick leg right up underneath it, not to one side like the leg of a one-legged man, and at the end of it a single enormous foot, a broad-toed foot with the turls curled up a little so that it looked rather like a small canoe. She saw in a moment why they had looked like mushrooms. They'd been lying flat on their backs, with each with its single leg straight up in the air, and its enormous foot spread out above it. She learned afterwards that this was their ordinary way of resting, for the foot kept off both the rain and sun, for a monopod to lie under its own foot is almost as good as being in a tent. "Oh, the funnies!" cried Lucy, bursting into laughter. "Did you make them like that?" Yes, I made the duffers into monopods," said the magician. He too was laughing till the tears ran down his cheeks. "But watch," he added. It was worth watching. Of course, these little one-footed men couldn't walk or run as we do. They got about by jumping, like fleas or frogs. And what jumps they made! As if each big foot were a mass of springs. And with what a bounce they came down. And that was what made the thumping noise which had so puzzled Lucy yesterday. For now they were all jumping in all directions and calling out to one another, "Hey, lads, we're visible again!" "Visible we are," said one in the tasseled red cap, who was obviously the chief monopod. "And what I say is, when chaps are visible, why, then they can see one another." "Ah, there it is, Chief," cried all the others. "There's the point. No one's got a clearer head than you. You couldn't have made it plainer." "She caught the old man napping, that little girl did," said the chief monopod. "We've beaten him this time." "Just what we are going to say ourselves," chimed the chorus. "You're going stronger than ever today, Chief. Keep it up." "But do they dare talk about you like that?" said Lucy. "They seemed to be so afraid of you yesterday. Don't they know that you might be listening?" "That's one of the funny things about the duffers," said the magician. "One minute they'll talk as if I ran everything and overheard everything and was extremely dangerous. The next moment they'll think they can take me by tricks that a baby could see through. Bless them." "Will they have to be turned back into their proper shape?" asked Lucy. "Oh, I do hope it wouldn't be unkind to leave them as they are. Do they really mind very much? They seem pretty happy. I say, look at that jump. What were they like before?" "Common little dwarves," said he. "Nothing so nice as the sort you have in Narnia." "It would be a pity to change them back," said Lucy. "They're so funny, and they're rather nice. Do you think it would make any difference if I told them that?" "I'm sure it would, if you could get it into their heads." "Will you come with me and try?" "No, no, you'll get on far better without me." "Thanks awfully for the lunch," said Lucy, and turned quickly away. She ran down the stairs which she had come up so nervously that morning, and Cannon and Edmund at the bottom. All the others were there with him waiting, and Lucy's conscience smote her when she saw their anxious faces and realized how long she had forgotten them.